Good evening, this is James presenting what will hopefully be a brief 10 minutes or less strategy guide on Tokyo Disneyland while I drink possibly what could be a disgusting beverage. Grapefruits, vinegar, and milk. A few things you need to consider when going to Tokyo Disneyland. That's drinkable. Maybe not for too long. But anyways, first thing you need to consider is when to go. You need to choose a day to go. Basic rule is to avoid weekends and holidays because that's when it gets super crowded. Try to stick to weekdays. You can't necessarily plan when there will be good weather or bad weather, but the worse the weather, the fewer people will go, the more rides you can go on. If you're not entirely sure what's a holiday and what's not, or I'm sorry, if you're not entirely sure what weekday is a holiday and what's not, or what weekdays are crowded and what are not, one little method I used, and there's probably a better method somewhere on Tokyo Disneyland's homepage. One method I used is I checked the rates at hotels around Tokyo Disneyland. The nights before less crowded days are cheaper, and the nights before crowded days are more expensive. And later on I'm probably going to look at Tokyo Disneyland's homepage and find stats on what days are most crowded. But anyways, that's what I did last week. One last Wednesday, as a matter of fact. What else do you have to consider? You have to consider how and when to get there. You don't necessarily have to go through Tokyo Station. The trains I usually take end up changing trains at Hachobori for the Keio line. And that takes me to Maihama Station. What else to consider? Try to get there if you want to be the early bird. Get to the, I don't know, have your first ride of the day on Space Mountain or Thunder Mountain, one of the big ticket rides, one of the big super crowded rides. Try to get there, aim for 15 minutes before opening. 8:45 in the morning if it's opening at 9 a.m. say. One thing I found out recently, some Mondays and Tuesdays they open at 8 a.m. So if you want to get there super early and get in a few good rides on rides that aren't that crowded yet, you want to get there super early. Let's see. Oh yeah, earlier I mentioned going on a weekday, if possible a weekday with bad weather, although you can't necessarily choose the weather in advance. 10 years ago, it's about almost exactly 10 years ago, yeah. I rode on Space Mountain about 5 times in a row on a rainy day, on a rainy weekday, because it was practically a ghost town there. No one in line on any of the rides. It's not like that anymore, because 10 years ago there were no hotels. Now there was no blah blah blah. There were no hotels. There was no monorail going around Tokyo Disneyland. There was no Disney Sea. Disney Sea was still just a pipe dream. Toontown was still under construction. Tokyo Disneyland was a lot smaller than it is today. No monorail, no hotels, no Disney Sea. With all the hotels now, even when there's bad weather, there's people staying in the hotels who have reserved weeks or months in advance. So even if there's bad weather, there will still be people there. So you're not going to find you're not going to be able to ride Space Mountain 5 times in a row like I did 10 years ago. But weekdays are still likely to be a lot less crowded than weekends and holidays. What else? One thing I should mention is Fast Pass, because again, 10 years ago there was no such thing as Fast Pass. And hey, if no one's actually explained Fast Pass to you, you don't know what it is. What Fast Pass is did I get my pass? I went to the Shibuya Disney. That's one thing I almost forgot. When you get to the park, to go into the park, there's a few different lines you have to stand in. One is the bag check, where some rent-a-cops open up your bag and make sure there's nothing bad in it. That started after 9/11, by the way. Another line that you might or might not have to stand in is a line to buy a ticket, and the next line that you definitely have to stand in is one to put your ticket through a little ticketing machine that checks that you've actually entered the park. This thing here I bought at the Shibuya Disney store. There's a Disney store in Shibuya, and if you Google around for, I don't know, Disney Store Japan or Disney Store Tokyo, you'll probably find one in your area. You can get Disney park tickets there. And getting park tickets in advance is a helpful way to save time. Save time in a line, or skip a line actually. So if you have a lot of time in advance, if you're talking about a week in advance or months in advance, you can order your tickets online on Tokyo Disney's homepage, and they ship them to you. They takkyubin to them. They mail them to you basically through super fast snail mail. If you have a little less time, like if you're planning to go the next day, like tomorrow, like I am in my case, you can go to the nearest Disney store and buy a ticket there. In this case, I got the after 6 pass, which is 3,100 yen for after 6 p.m. until closing at 10 p.m. But I'm not going to be able to get there until around 7 because of work. Anyways, tickets in advance. You don't have to go through Tokyo Station. Maihama Station is where you want to go to. There's hotels right around the park, which are something like $200 a night per person, 20,000 yen a night per person. If you go one station away to Shin Ureyasu, it's more like 1,000 yen a person, or 10,000 yen a person. So if you go away just by one train station, the hotels get a lot cheaper. If you're thinking of staying there, Tokyo Disneyland is surprisingly close into Tokyo. I could commute there for work if I really had to. It's probably about an hour's train ride away from home, really. I mean, even a little less if I'm lucky with changing trains. It's less than half an hour from where I work. So if I really want to get there like super early, then staying at a hotel is one way to do it, but hotel's really not necessary if you're living in Tokyo.